$250,000 doesn't sound crazy. That's the scary part. In 2026, a 250K house feels reasonable. Not luxury, not flashy, just normal. Something an average, responsible adult should be able to afford. Now here's the number no one leads with. At today's rates, that reasonable house can easily cost you around $2,100 to $2,400 per month once you factor in mortgage, property taxes, insurance, and basic maintenance. That's not including furniture, not including repairs, not including the life you're already paying for. So the real question isn't can you afford $250K, it's this. Can you comfortably carry a $2,300 monthly obligation for the next 30 years? Because this is where it starts to get uncomfortable. And we haven't even done the math yet. A $250,000 house sounds affordable because of something called anchoring. We got used to seeing $500K, $750K, even $1 million listings. So when you hear $250K, your brain relaxes. It feels like a deal, like you're being responsible. Here's the thing. Back in 2020, that same house might have been $190K. Rates were near 3%, monthly payments were dramatically lower, but prices climbed, rates climbed, and now the math has quietly changed. Yet psychologically, we're still anchored to the old world. We tell ourselves, it's only $250K, that's not that bad. But housing doesn't run on price alone, it runs on monthly cash flow, and monthly cash flow is where most people break. Now wait. Before you assume I'm exaggerating, let's do the math properly. Because once you see the real numbers line by line, the picture shifts fast. All right, let's do the math. Assume you buy a $250,000 house in 2026. You put down 10%. That's $25,000 up front, which already eliminates a lot of people, but let's continue. You're now borrowing $225,000. At a 7.5% interest rate on a 30-year mortgage, your principal and interest payment alone is roughly $1,575 per month. Now add property taxes, let's say 1.2% annually. That's about $3,000 a year, or $250 per month. Home insurance, around $125 per month. We're now at $1,950, but we're not done. Maintenance, roof, plumbing, HVAC, paint, appliances, the boring stuff. A safe rule is 1% of the home's value per year. That's another $2,500 annually, or about $210 per month. Now, your real monthly housing cost is roughly $2,160, and that's before HOA fees, before utilities, before anything unexpected. Now here's where it gets serious. Lenders generally don't want your housing payment to exceed 28% of your gross monthly income. So let's reverse engineer this. If your housing costs $2,160 per month, you need to make about $7,700 per month before taxes. That's roughly $92,000 per year to afford a $250,000 house. And that's just to qualify comfortably. But here's the part nobody talks about. Qualifying and living comfortably are two very different things. Here's where it gets ugly. Let's say you make $92,000 a year. On paper, you qualify. The bank smiles, the numbers work. But your life doesn't live on paper. Do you have a car payment? That's $400 to $600 a month gone. Student loans? Maybe another $300. Credit cards? Even a small balance can quietly eat $150 a month. Now your affordable $2,160 housing cost is sitting on top of $1,000 or more in other fixed obligations. And we haven't touched groceries, gas, health insurance, subscriptions, travel, saving for retirement. This is where lifestyle creep makes everything worse, because once you buy the house, you don't live like you're broke. You furnish it, you upgrade things, you feel pressure to match the house. New couch, better TV, patio set, lawn equipment. Individually, they feel small. Together, they quietly stretch you to the edge. So technically, yes, you can afford the house, but financially, you're tight. One job loss, one medical issue, one major repair, and the entire structure shakes. So who can actually afford a $250,000 house in 2026 without feeling squeezed? First profile, dual income, no kids. Two people earning 55K each, combined income of 110K. Low debt, stable jobs. That math works. Not comfortably rich, but stable. Second profile, single earner making 100K plus with minimal debt and a strong emergency fund. Notice the pattern. High income, low obligations, margin. Third profile, someone putting down 20% or more. That drops the loan size, lowers monthly payments, removes private mortgage insurance, and instantly creates breathing room. Now compare that to the average person. Median individual income in the US sits well below 92K. Many households carry student debt, car loans, credit balances, irregular income. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people looking at 250K homes are stretching, not because they're irresponsible, but because housing became emotionally loaded. Owning feels like stability. Renting feels temporary. But stability isn't about ownership. It's about margin. And that brings us to the real question you should be asking. Here's the question no one asks when they're scrolling listings at night. Not, can I buy this, but what does buying this lock me into? A $2,160 monthly payment is not just a bill, it's a commitment to stay employed, to stay in this city, to prioritize the house over flexibility. Here's the thing. When 35% or 40% of your take-home pay goes to housing, your life narrows. You hesitate to switch careers. You delay starting a business. You think twice before traveling. You feel every economic headline a little more intensely. That's opportunity cost. Money tied up in a house can't be invested elsewhere. It can't build liquidity. It can't give you optionality. Now, owning can absolutely be smart. Long-term appreciation, forced savings, stability for a family. But only if you have margin. If buying leaves you tight, anxious, one emergency away from panic, it's not wealth, it's leverage. So who can actually afford a $250,000 house in 2026? The person with income, discipline, low debt, and breathing room. If that's you, great. If it's not, the smartest move isn't rushing, it's building margin first. Because the goal isn't just to buy a house, it's to own it without it quietly owning you.